Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I say salam to anybody that's coming from Azerbaijan. Magandango Maga Kamusta. Akim Maga Kaibagan. Miramin Salamat for you coming by and taking a look at my video here and my channel. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed up to this point. It is very much appreciated. I now have 835 subscribers, so I just need 165 until I hit my 1,000. But as you guys know, I've been struggling with my eye here. It is an infection, and so I'm I'm just struggling through every day. I'm just waking up every day hoping it gets better. So I appreciate everybody's support and everybody you know, just kind of hanging in there with me. You know, I would have been a lot further along with everything in the world. You know, had this not came up, but you know, every now and then you get knocked down. But you know, and be honest with you, I haven't really felt like making videos at all over the past like 5 or 6 days. But you know, I just I just went ahead and did it, man. I was like, dude, I got to get these videos made, man, because you know, the subscriptions and the views and stuff, they're not gonna move themselves. So yeah, here I am. So hopefully it's appreciated. And as always, if you have any comments or concerns or questions or anything you think that, you know, can make my channel better, feel free to put it on there. Everything that I've seen, even thumbs down and negative comments, I've been able to use to make, you know, to make my channel better. And so I think that a lot of the people who've been around from the beginning can tell you that. That things have definitely improved from the beginnings. Anyway, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have for this game. So this is taken from, you know, round 4 of the knockout portion. And this is game 1 between Wesley and Teimour Radjabov. And so they're working on knocking each other out for the ultimate final. So a lot of people are saying they think it's going to be Wesley and Magnus Carlsen, which is cool. We'll see what's cracking. Hopefully I feel better by then. But anyway, rolling. All right, so in the game, so we have E4, we got C5, good old Sicilian. We got knight to F3, knight to C6, bishop to B5, and so we have the Rosalimo Sicilian. This is a very common way of playing. You know, a lot of times you want to try to take here and damage, you know, white or black structure somehow. So we have E6. We got castles by white. Knight G to E7. We got rook to E1. We got A6. So this is, you know, kind of asking the question to the bishop. So we do take on C6. And the knight takes back on C6. And as you can see, you almost kind of have given up the bishop for nothing, almost, because, you know, you haven't damaged black structure. So generally, when you're going to be giving up a bishop for a knight, you're going to be giving, you know, you're going to be wanting to try to get some type of compensation. Because, you know, just in general, giving up a bishop for a knight isn't usually the best. So, you know, in this particular case, I guess it just made a lot of sense to Wesley to go ahead and give it up. So we have D4. Almost always when you see a Sicilian, you're going to see D4 come at some point in the opening. So we got pawn takes D4, knight takes D4, D6. We got C4. So as you guys can see, you know, we have the Maroczy bind type of setup as white. You know, the Maroczy bind is going to be the C4 and the E4 so that you can bring the knight in behind the pawn here. And so we have bishop to E7. So knight comes to C3. We have castles by black. Knight takes C6. We got B takes C6. Bishop to F4. You know, this allows E5, just knocking that bishop back, which is not really a problem. Bishop comes back to G3. So we have bishop to E6, trying to attack this little pawn here, seeing if white's just going to give it away, which he doesn't. He goes B3. And so we see F6, rook to E3. All right, so we got queen over to B6. So we got queen to E2, rook F to D8. Like I'm always saying, guys, you have to make sure you know which one actually moves, because you can go rook A to D8 or you can go rook F to D8. We have rook to D1, rook to D7. We have H3, rook A to D8, and then we have rook E to D3. And so bishop back to F8. So you're going to be seeing just kind of a lot of maneuvering coming up. You know, just, you know, the side that actually has the advantage right now is going to be white. It's a slight advantage, but a little bit of the reason why they do have an advantage is because of this knight, because this knight does have the ability to jump around. As you can kind of see, both of these bishops are not the best, because as you can see, this bishop doesn't really have anywhere to go, and neither does this bishop. You know, the bishop is all the way back on its starting square. So, you know, the knight actually has a little bit of movability here. something like that, or maybe kind of coming down and bringing itself up into a nice little square or something like that. So we have king to h2, queen to b7. Like I said, there's just going to be like kind of a lot of maneuvering going on coming up here. So f4, got king to h8, we got f5, bishop back to f7, we got queen to f3, we got h6, bishop to f2, queen to b4, we got bishop to e1, just making sure we protect that knight, because we can't just start taking pawns here, because this knight is going to be having a question mark to it. So the queen comes back to b8, we got king down to h1, all right, we got queen to b7, we got g4, we have a5, we got h4, bishop to e7. Like I said, there was just like a lot of maneuvering going on, just getting into I guess trying to optimize your position as much as possible. So we have bishop to f2, we got king to g8, bishop to e3, we have a4, and then we actually have g5 for Wesley. So, and for those of you that are wondering, this is actually just a pawn. If you wanted to, you can definitely snap here on a4, because the only really piece that you would want to trade for this knight would be this bishop, but it is not on this diagonal. So there really isn't a way for you to win that. So you can really just basically simply, after maybe queen moves or something like that, you can just do something like that. And then you'll be able to move this knight back at some point, and then you just got to completely pass pawn. So that was somewhat of a bluff by Teimour Radjabov, and for some reason Wesley So didn't really want to go into that. So he did push. g5. So after pawn takes b3, we got pawn takes b3, h takes g5, h takes d5, and then f takes g5, and then we have queen to g4. Of course, we weren't able to just take that pawn immediately, because that bishop is defending it. So now, as you can kind of see, the game is starting to get a little open on this this king side, and so we're going to start seeing possibly some pieces shifting over into this section to try to get some play going. So we have bishop to f6. We have bishop takes g5, king to f8, rook to h3. Like I said, we got these pieces starting to swing over to this king side here. We got king to e7, rook to h7, and as you guys can see, this bishop is currently pinned to this king. So this pawn is up for grabs at the moment. So queen does take b3, trying to, grabbing a pawn, but then also putting a little attack on this knight and just asking black what it wants to do, or asking white what it wants to do. This is the point in the game that Wesley So actually just goes on a complete attack and just starts throwing the whole kitchen sink in there. So we have bishop takes f6 with check. We got pawn takes f6, and then we have a rook, an exchange sacrifice. Get some water. Tasty. Gets so he throws in an exchange sacrifice, right? Which, to be completely honest with you, in a second here. So we have king takes f7, and then we have queen to g6 with check, and this is actually a completely drawn game. There is really no way to actually force a win here. Mostly because you're just going to have to keep throwing checks, because this knight is on pre, and you're going to be pushing this pawn up here. And so you really kind of, the only thing you can really do is just kind of keep checking. And so it's basically up to black if he's going to actually lose the game or if he's going to draw the game. He's going to keep the draw going alive. So we see king to f8. We got queen takes f6 with check. We have king to e8. We have queen to h8 with check. We got king to f7, and then we have queen to h5 with check. And if you guys want to go ahead and stop the video here and see what you can see, there is actually only one move that draws. All others lose. And I will show you guys exactly what that drawing move is, and then I'll show you all the different variations where it's a complete loss. So like I said, if you want to go ahead and stop the video real quick here and see if you can spot the drawing move, go ahead real quick. Okay. I got watery, man. Okay. All right. So for those of you that guessed king to g8, that is the only drawn move, because what it allows is when the rook does swing over. So let's say the rook does swing over, you have the ability to now block, and then there isn't any way to force a mate in this situation, and there also isn't a way you're just gonna end up with a queen in game. So basically, like you'd have something like that, right? And then the queen would take, and then you'd just be taking here. And as you can see, you just have the same amount of material for each person. This pawn is on pre. So you're just gonna have to keep checking, and then your king is in the open too. So it's just gonna be basically a checking to death situation. So if we go back, after queen to h5, Radjabov actually goes king to f8, and this actually allows a really nice ending. So we see rook to g1, and then rook comes to f7, and then after f6, the rook takes on f6, and then you have queen to h7. And as you can see, there is not a way to stop this mate. And you'll see that actually it occurs again. After queen to h5, you also have the possibility of going king to e7, but after f6 check, king comes back down to e6. Queen to h3 with check, the king comes to f7. You see rook to g1, and it's kind of more of the same. You're going to be checking here. If the king does move here, you're going to be doing this, and you're going to be doing, you're going to be putting the king in a box. Also the same thing if you go king to g7. You're going to see rook to g1, and then after the king comes down to f6, you're going to see rook to g6 check, king to f7, queen to h7 check, king to f8, and then rook to g8 is going to be checkmate. So it's going to be kind of more of the same situation as you saw at the end of the game. But like I said, it's after queen to h7 that Radjabov actually does resign the game. So we are actually currently playing. Let me see what they're looking like here if they've played some more games. Okay, so Wesley did win that game. So that's a 1 each. So they're in the 4th round to try to see who gets the rest of that. I appreciate you guys coming through and checking out my video. Appreciate you guys' support during this really rough time. Personally, hopefully you guys never experience what I'm experiencing right now, because it is a nightmare. It is a very miserable situation. So I appreciate you guys very much for the subscriptions and everything, for the support. I will see you guys in the next video. All right, Mary Salamat.